Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Mile High Game Guys board gaming podcast. I'm your host, Adrian.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Jeff.
And we're coming to you with another top 10 episode for episode 160 week.
It's 10.
Oh, I was like, I thought you were trying to signal, like,
No.
I don't know, the number of what episode it was. I don't know. I don't know. I got nothing. Got nothing. This week we are going to be doing a top 10 list on the top 10 games that we probably should have played or want to play, or I'm not really sure what criteria any of us used. The main criteria is that it's a game we have not played that for some reason, whether it's that we want to or we think we should.
Released games.
Released games.
Yes.
Release games, yeah. I definitely didn't do, honestly, for me, I tried not to do anything too new. Because it's like, oh, I really should have played this game that was released last week.
I definitely took it more as like, I should have played this by now.
Yes.
Yeah. I would agree that was kind of my general attitude towards the whole thing. Was a by now. For some reason or another. Sometimes it was like, oh, I really want to play this. Some was like, oh, I feel like my identity as a, heavy-ish gamer requires me to play this or something equally nonsensical.
Yeah.
So top 10 games we need to play. We have, as is tradition, some honorable mentions. So, Zach, would you like to start with the honorable mentions?
Yes. So first honorable mention is just Cthulhu Wars. That I feel like access to it, really. I feel like I know some people that have it, but
my old pal Ant, different Ant,
Okay.
Chicago Ant.
Oh, okay.
He had a copy of that. He had fucking everything for that game. It was an unbelievable amount of stuff for that game.
Yeah. Rivaling Kingdom Death and how much money, probably.
I want to say Kingdom Death is more expensive.
Yeah, well.
Because I think for how big Cthulhu Wars is, I want to say it's not unreasonably expensive.
Okay.
Comparatively.
Kingdom Death is.
Yes. Then we also have Nations, the dice game. It's just it's a civ building game that I've heard good things about, but I don't know anybody that has it.
Okay.
So, but I mean, it's something I'd want to try at some point, but whatever. Zaya, Legends of a Drift System. I didn't look up the actual name.
That is the name.
Okay.
You nailed it.
Yeah. I know Paul has it. That I've been willing to try it out, but I know how much you hated it. Even made me go like, do I want to play this? And then Raw, because I know it's a auction bidding game, right?
Kind of, I think.
Yeah, but I've heard a lot of good things about it. So
I've also heard good things about Raw, but I have not played it.
Yeah,
so
I don't know anybody has. I know they did it was one of when Fantasy Flight did like their released a new edition of it. It was like, oh, that's cool, but then I just never looked into it anymore. So
okay,
that's it for honorables.
Right on. I have 2. Jeff, in classic Jeff tradition, has none.
My top 10 list has 10 games on it.
Hey, my top 10 list only has 10 games on it. This is not part of the top 10.
I've had honorable mentions before.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. But my honorable mentions are only 2. So Paul taking 10 for the over-under. Excessive. There's only 2. First up is the only expansion on my list, and that's Scoundrels of Skullport for Lords of Waterdeep. I have Waterdeep. I like it as a really light intro worker placement, and I've heard that expansion's really good, but I have just never taken the time to learn it, and especially since they sit in 2 separate boxes with their inserts, it's like
But you do have it.
I do own it.
Okay.
And so that's also why it's on my list, because I freaking own it. I need to play it. And then my other honorable mention is another game that I own that I've technically played once, two-handed by myself to learn the rules, but I don't think that really counts. And that's Feudum.
Okay, yeah.
I would like to play Feudum. It's just, even trying to learn it, that was rough. It needed a little bit more. Like, I don't want my games too polished and like overly devoid of any character, but they need a little bit of tightening up and like cleaning up. And Feudum doesn't quite have it, but I still want to play it. So those are my 2 honorable mentions. So we can move on here into the actual top 10. So we'll start with you, Jeff. What is your number 10?
My number 10 is Terra Mystica. I know this one has been in the BGG top 100 for like a billion years, let's say since like 2012.
Yes, more or less since it came out.
Yes. But it's one that everyone is always thrilled about and that I've just never gotten around to playing it with anyone. Like I've seen it come out at game nights every once in a while, but I've never been like, I'm in the mood to play this game. Because it seems like more of a heavier sort of game, which don't really blend that well with the world of game night a lot of time. It has a 3.95 on Alamo Drafthouse score system out of 5. Also known as its weight. So it is pretty heavy, but it's one that's always interested me. Economic civs kind of thing.
I'm sure it doesn't help that both Adrian and I are cool on that game.
Yeah, it's going to hurt your odds of getting to play it.
Yeah, and I mean, and then I guess along with that, like Gaia Project, after I play Terra Mystica, see how the spiritual sequel is to that.
Right on.
Yeah, but Terra Mystica, it's on the list.
Cool. All right. My number 10 is Arkwright. So
you still haven't played that?
I still have not played Arkwright.
Okay.
I am a little bit like leery to try Arkwright because I've heard it regularly described as like spreadsheet the game, and I think it might be just a little bit too dry for even myself. But
you say that, but you like 18xx games.
I do love 18xx games, and I mean, I constantly hear so many good things about it that I still really want to try it.
How can you hate the 2 different modes of the game? The water wheel one and the other one
the spinning Jenny.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Is that the name of a train?
No, they're like a type of mill.
Oh,
so like
okay.
a water wheel mill and a spinning Jenny or
I see.
something Jenny. So, but yeah, Arkwright is my number 10. Zach, what's your number 10?
So my number 10 is D Mocker, and so I
this is the best. I love this.
Yeah. So I feel like on most of my lists, number 10 is always the best of all the honorable mentions. That if I feel like replacing, like I almost replaced my number 9. But I didn't move 9 down to 10 and then 10 off. So I didn't move D Mocker off. I was just get rid of number 9 and replace it. But this is one that I feel, given the association of the people that I have, that I feel like I would have been offered a chance to play this by now.
Yeah.
Which I would be interested in trying it, even though it is a heavy.
Long, right?
It's a long, heavy Euro game about German politics.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a lot of like negotiation and
Yes.
trying to like, get things
I remember
factioned over.
we talked about the Kickstarter to this vaguely recently.
Yes, and so that I think I'll actually get a chance to play it because either Paul or Adrian backed it. I know.
Yes.
So if not,
It wasn't
both.
that expensive, right?
I did not back it.
Okay.
Paul, I'm pretty sure did. It wasn't very expensive, but
No.
that was at a time that I just was
Didn't have a current job.
Yeah, I was struggling with the money.
I get that. But yes, that's one that I would be definitely willing to try, at least to say that I've played the first game on BGG.
Yes, the fact that it's game number 1 is one of the main reasons I really want to play that game. So.
Breaking news: Paul did not also.
Oh, he did not end up. Bummer.
Who? Oh no, I'm never.
Lance
Lance
maybe? Probably did.
Lance.
Who makes it? Who makes that game?
Spielworks has done the most recent.
Don't you have a connection with Spielworks?
I kind of do. Yeah.
Then get us a review copy, Adrian.
Yeah, you get us a review copy for once.
So those are the number 10s. Moving on into the 9s. Zach, what is your number 9?
My number 9 is probably one of the last Euros on this. I'm not sure yet. Anachrony. And that's based solely on the fact that time travel is one of my favorite mechanisms and themes. And so I know that a game based around that is something I would like to try out.
Fair enough.
And it seems like, once again, it also seems like something that either you or Paul or some of the other people would have been able to try at some point. Did you ever play it?
I still have not played Anachrony, and it's
Okay.
actually one that I would like to play, and it was a narrow miss on having us have the same game on our
Yeah.
list just now. But I haven't played it, and the time travel thing seemed really interesting to me. And then I heard somebody be like, "Well, the way they do it in the game, it's a loan because you just have to pay your loans back before the end of the game, so you have to send it back to yourself later in the game." And it's just like, oh, they called a loan time travel. And you didn't take a loan from the bank. You showed up from the future to give yourself resources.
I mean, I'm okay with that. I mean, it's really hard to do time travel in a game, especially one like that. But it's something I would be interested in trying out at least once.
Right on. Jeff, what is your number 9?
My number 9 is Eclipse. It's been around for quite a while.
It's been a while, yeah.
Yeah, and I got it for real cheap on one of those like Asmodee like Christmassy time sales. I
Mhm.
got like Eclipse for like $20. Like,
Damn.
yeah,
That's
like,
a crazy good deal.
It's when
on
I bought all
Eclipse.
that Conquest stuff that I also haven't played.
Oh yeah.
But they had like one of the expansions was like $7, so I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, fuck it.
Was it one of the ship expansions?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Good.
Cool.
But you know, it's one of those heavy Euro Civ space games that's been pretty legendary for quite a long time, and now there's that second edition coming out.
Yeah.
/ might be out.
I think it's out.
Yeah, the second.
It hasn't
Age
gotten
of-
great reviews, I don't think, though.
Second,
Or no, maybe I don't think it is out. There's
Yeah.
been a whole shit ton of issues with production.
Yes.
And so people who
Ah.
backed in on the Kickstarter are all pissed about that.
Gotcha.
That's what the issue is. Well, you're in luck with this one, Jeff, because this is so far, I mean, we're only on number 9, but this is the first one on the list where I can personally say, I have it. I love to play it.
I own it as well.
I know. But, you know, mine's all organized and ready to go. And
Yeah.
it has all the expansions, except for the ship pack upgrades, because those are just cosmetic, and I don't give a shit about that.
Yeah.
So
So it doesn't have all the upgrades.
it has
That's
all
what
the
I'm-
gameplay upgrades.
Mm.
And I clearly need all of the broken token inserts to make the player boards reasonable.
Yeah. Or at least get Paul to 3D print you. They've got some things on various 3D printing forums for little grids that hold them in place. So,
Yeah, Eclipse. I heard it's pretty good.
yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I really like Eclipse. So my number 9 is Versindisfolk.
Excuse me.
Versindisfolk.
You got
Bless you.
yeah.
This is a 2-player game that's, again, German politics. Going kind of back to your number 10 there, Zach. And this one, it's a 2-player game where you basically take on the role of one player's East Germany and one player's West Germany, and you go through the process in the 80s of like leading up to the building of the Berlin Wall, and then like potentially, depending on how the game plays out, maybe the wall never gets built. Maybe the wall does get built, and East Germany becomes the powerful, dominant Germany. I've just heard like it's a really good 2-player game with a little bit of asymmetry that, you know, handles historical things kind of interestingly, you know, and especially coming fresh off the Twilight Struggle stream, you know, more Cold War shenanigan 2-player games, right up my alley right now. So my number 9 is Versindisfolk. Next up, number 8, starting with me. My number 8, this one courtesy of the Slack channel, because I had several games that I couldn't decide between, and I asked Slack which one would fit me best, and the answer was overwhelmingly Hansa Teutonica. So,
What were the other ones that didn't apparently make your honorable mentions, and yet you were considering them for number 8?
you know, it's just where things fall.
So it sounds like your honorable mentions has gone up to 5. So we'll just see if it keeps track. Maybe Paul's going to be.
I'm not even going to mention any of the other games that could have been there.
Oh, you mean like Democker and Aura et Labora and what was the other one?
How do you know that other ones of those aren't somewhere else on the list? And Aura et Labora was not on there because I have actually played Aura et Labora.
Which one am I thinking of then?
I don't know what you're thinking of.
Well, then I will look
was
it
not
up.
Aura et Labora.
I will look it up on Slack.
It was so the ones were Pax Ren, Infamous Traffic, Democker, Orleans, and Carson
Orleans,
City.
that's what it was. Okay. So that was 4 other ones. So
Yeah.
6.
Yeah.
Paul, it's getting so much closer.
You sons of bitches. I don't know a lot about Hansa Teutonica. I just know it's very highly rated for kind of a midweight Euro game.
Mhm.
And Nick made a good point on the Slack channel. It's a dry Euro with limited interaction. So that really means it's probably perfectly suited for me. But yeah, I would like it to try it. So, Zach, what is your number 8?
My number 8 is Star Wars: The Queen's Gambit. So this is a game from Avalon Hill that's based around the Phantom Menace climax, 3-tiered climax, literally, because it actually is like a multi-level board setup that has like the Gungans versus the droids. It has Anakin, flying in to blow up the
Droid controller ship.
Yes. And then it has the Jedi battle. And it's until Rebellion came along, and then I guess also X-Wing, this was like the good Star Wars game.
And it was, and there was like Star Wars Epic Duels was another one that was pretty well renowned.
Yes.
That I think someone is remaking without the Star Wars license now.
Yes. I don't remember what it's called now, but somebody was like, yeah, it's totally Star Wars without the Star Wars.
Yep.
Yeah.
But this is always one that I've hoped to see, like in the back of my mind, anytime we check out a convention like Geekway or Gen Con or any of that other ones.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen it there, so...
My friend Tim has it back in Chicago.
Well, you need to rob Tim.
Sure.
And make this happen, Jeff.
Yeah, totally.
For me.
Absolutely.
Jeff, what is your number 8?
My number 8 is Space Alert.
Who's that by?
Space Alert is by Czech Games Edition.
Who designed it?
Vlado Chvátil.
There you go. Just trying to keep you on your toes.
Yeah, that's why I got notes. It's another game I've owned for an eternity, and that I've just never gotten around to playing. And especially now that we love real-time bullshit dexterity games, that this is sort of that with an audio track.
Oh, really?
It's all real-time, like space combat.
But it's also real-time programming too.
Yes.
Okay.
And I've heard really good things about it, but also I've heard like if you like it, you really like it, but if you don't like it, you hate it.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's games that are better than that now with the real-time programming and stuff like that. But this was kind of the original.
One of the first great good ones.
2008.
Yeah.
And I probably owned it right around then. So I've had it for over a decade. That has yet to be played.
This is one that I considered but didn't make my honorable mentions.
And it's cooperative.
Yes.
Cooperative survival programming.
Real time.
With an audio backing. Because that's what alerts you to like things that are happening.
Yep.
Yeah. Space Alert. I think they've done there was a Space Alert different combat game or something recently. Or something that had the name Space Alert in it. I'm not sure if it has anything to do with it. But
yeah.
I saw Space Alert recently, and I was like, I wonder if that's the same thing.
I have no idea.
No idea.
But moving on to the 7s, keeping this train a-going, choo-choo. Jeff, what is your number 7?
My number 7 is Burglar Bros.
This was the one that I was like, how the fuck have you not played this, Jeff?
Terra Mystica, and this one was like, dude, what the shit?
I've met Tim Fowers. I've played some of his prototype games and some of his full-on games, and they've all been wonderful. And this seems to be one of his biggest, and I've just never gotten around to playing it. It's come out every once in a while at game nights, and I know plenty of people that own it, but it's just not one that I've ever sat down in. And it seems cool, and I'm excited for the second one. So I should probably play the first one at some point.
That seems right.
Yeah.
Just like Adrian, we can make this happen, Jeff.
This is a really easy one for this.
And it's another co-op game.
Yeah. Right on. My number 7 is Wildcatters. So Wildcatters is another Euro game where you're taking stock in companies and stuff. And this one is all oil companies trying to prospect for oil all across the world. It's one that Capstone Games recently did a reprint of that they did a great job with art and components and board and everything. But I just still have not quite gotten a chance to play it. And it's another one, I have a good contact at Capstone. I should be like, hey, Clay, just going to take this next time I'm at a convention.
Are you sure you have a good contact? Because I feel like anytime we play one of his games, we're all, at least Jeff and I are like,
yeah, it might.
It's like, sorry, your stuff continues to be mediocre at best. I haven't
what you
played
do-
Watergate yet,
When it's
though.
only because and I haven't made you play the heavier stuff,
Yeah.
like Arkwright and
Yeah.
Wildcat.
no, what you do is like, can I have this? I promise we won't review it. I won't let Zach and Jeff. I won't let Zach
I
and
will
Jeff play it at
stream
all.
it with my heavy
Yeah,
game friends.
there you go.
Zach and Jeff will stay far, far away. But yeah, Wildcatters is my number 7. Zach, what is your number 7?
My number 7 is Tigris and Euphrates. Is that how you say it? Tigris?
Tigris.
Tigris.
Mm.
Tigris and Euphrates. I was very interested in this game when when Fantasy Flight decided to do a new edition of it. I think it was the first one of those, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Either this or Raw, one of the two. Anyway, this is just one of the games that, like, anytime I look up a review, the word brutal is always in the subtitle of it. So I feel like it's a game that I could get very into, at least to give it a chance.
Yeah. The only aspect of this game that I felt was brutal. Now, I've never played the game in person. I've only played on the app. The only thing I felt was
have
brutal
you
was
played it with people?
understanding it.
So you haven't played with people?
No, I have not
Okay.
played it with people. But
Very few AIs I've played with will be brutal in a game. But to be fair, the brutal AIs will be fucking the most ruthless things I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm thinking of, was it the
Keldon AI.
Keldon AI, and Patchwork, the UA level difficulty. And then Twilight Struggle was apparently a hard AI as well.
As someone that has played 6 games of Twilight Struggle in the last day, because there's a Steam sale, and bought Twilight Struggle, that AI will fuck you right up. It's a good way to learn all the cards, though.
I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Boyd's also been getting handily trounced by the AI lately. So.
And also Paul.
Yeah. But cool. Those are the 7s. So we can move right along to the 6s. Zach, what is your number 6?
Just me again. All right. My number 6 is Camel Up. That's Camel Cup or Camel Up. Did they change the name between the editions?
Yes, the newest edition I think is officially Camel Up.
Okay.
But before it used to be
Camel Cup.
the C was like big enough that it was like on both of them.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, Camel Up is mine. Every time I see it at game night, there's just like it's that picture of people that are like, here's that stock photo of people enjoying board games a little bit too much. Like everybody's always like cheering and and
There's a family that gets along.
But every time I've seen people play it, it's always been like they always seem to have a lot of fun with it. I've never been asked to play it. And I don't know if that is
A reflection on you personally.
exactly. It feels like it. But it's like I don't even know who owns it, but until I see people out, but they never ask. So it's definitely one I want to try at some point. But with the amount of times I've seen it at game night and the vast amount of people I've seen play it, I feel like I should have been asked at least once. So just slightly personal.
Right on. Jeff, what is your number 6?
My number 6 is Seventh Continent. It's a fun little romp through starvation and exploration, with some curses, both literally and figuratively. I know Paul has played multiple campaigns of this.
Yes.
Has he finished more than one?
I think he's only done one.
Yeah.
So
Maybe he's in the midst of a second.
Jeff, I'll tell you something you could do. Instead of having not played this game yet, what you could do is play once, maybe twice, and then have the group, everybody realize as a group, playing it with 4 players is bad, so let's just play it without you. and then you watch as they enjoy themselves, and you're like, but I was playing it.
This feels like a personal story.
And following right on the heels of the Camel Up slights, I feel like we're getting a trend here of Zach being excluded from things.
I know they're coming out with that like lighter edition of
Like Essential Edition thing.
classic edition.
Yeah.
That seems something that I would be able to actually purchase
Yes.
without spending multiple hundreds of dollars or relying on playing with Paul.
Right.
Yes.
Which he did say in the chat that you could quit the stream right now and go play Seventh Continent with him. So You know, if you
Did he
wanna-
just tell Jeff that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. In all caps, Jeff, quit the stream now and let's play
Okay.
Seventh Continent.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I know
I feel that right here.
I know Wes and Andrew and him have been playing, and I've seen him play it at game night. It seems like a really cool, fun game. It seems like Robinson Crusoe-esque, where you're just sort of
What was that,
era.
Jeff?
Crusoe.
I heard Caruso.
I did too.
Where you're just sort of exploring, and you have kind of like that weird, some of the weird scenarios from Crusoe.
Yes. No, it's a lot of fun. It's a cool exploration game.
Yeah, an exploration game that did it well.
Cool. My number 6 is Shipyard. So Shipyard is another one that I found out about a long time ago from Heavy Cardboard. And basically it's you're building, you're each a different shipyard and you're trying to build ships. And so you have like a bow and a stern, and then you fill it with a bunch of stuff in the middle. And then once you complete a ship, you send them out and they do like sea trials out in the canal to see like how fast they are, how much cargo they can carry, things like that. And you get points based on how well you perform in different categories. And so you're both trying to build as many ships as you can, but also try to build good ships. And so you have to balance like, you know, maybe building a less good ship to get it out, to get it doing trials quicker versus spending a little bit more time in building a really good ship. And I think that just sounds like a really cool kind of push-pull balance. It's from Zach Vladimir Suchi, who did all of the Last Will and stuff.
Last Will, Prodigal's Club, and then Pulsar 2849.
Yeah, which I haven't played that, but I did really like Last Will and Prodigals. You know, so I like some of his stuff that he does.
Oh no, yeah,
And
he's
so
a
I
good
think
designer.
this is another one that seems like it might be really good kind of game that'd be in my general wheelhouse. So those are the number 6s. Moving on to 5s. My number 5, I will make Ofer happy here because hopefully he'll have actually heard of this one. He has been just blown away by how many of these he's never heard of.
Of yours specifically?
Of mine specifically.
Yeah, well,
They were starting to take bets on how long into this list they would list a game somebody's heard of.
gotcha.
So my number 5 is Fields of Arle, which is an Uwe Rosenberg game from, I think, like 2014, fairly recent.
That just reminds me of Fields of Mars.
Yeah, it's follow-up coming soon.
Fields of Mars, yes.
God, that's... Anytime I see an April Fool's joke land on somebody, it's just the best.
Oh, I bet that one hook, line, and sinker.
Yes, you did.
Anyway, back to Fields of Arle. So it's a 2-player Uwe game that combines some of his mechanics from some of his other games that I really like. So it combines like the shared buildings from Le Havre. It combines the wheel from
Glass Road.
And yeah, it's I've heard really good things. I've heard it's just a fantastic heavy 2-player Uwe game, like right up there with like Agricola and Le Havre for just really good heavy 2-player Uwe experiences. And so dying.
Do you want to say Uwe one more time? You just really like saying
Uwe.
it. There you go.
Yeah, so that's my number 5. Zach, what about you? What's your number 5?
All right, so this is my only one that I feel is sort of a okay. So it's my only expansion. It is Star Wars Rebellion: Rise of the Empire, and realistically, I just mean that I don't understand why the fuck we haven't played Star Wars Rebellion in so long.
I know.
but
I have.
Yeah, well, but specifically me and Jeff, because how many times I feel like we've said to each other, I want to play this again.
Yeah.
And I've heard like. I know one of our problems with it was the combat, which I've heard that this fixes.
Yep.
So,
But
now,
it seems like one of those expansions that it's like all or nothing. With
I know I've
what
heard you
you're
can use,
adding
I've heard you can use the combat. Just you can use it in the base game
without having to use all the Rogue One
Yes.
characters.
Yes,
Yeah.
you can.
Yeah. So it's just more of a come on, Jeff. We need to fucking get on this.
I own it now.
We both own it, and yet still have not played it.
Yeah. We really need to figure out a way, like we need to get like good sound isolating headphones so we only hear like what's in the headphones.
Yeah.
And then figure out a way to set up a stream of it where you guys are the Empire and I'm the Rebels.
Oh yeah, it's
And
definitely
you're over there coordinating, and we'll have like a small mic next to you that's only keyed to the stream
Yeah.
that I can't hear.
yeah.
And try and
Well, we can just hook you up to headphones, and you can listen to Nickelback.
Your day to day.
Your day to day.
No.
Yeah. Your
No.
favorite music.
Ew.
And it'll just be, look at this photograph over and over and over again.
It's been so long since there's been an Adrian liking
really-
Nickelback, and I was starting to think maybe it had slipped
No.
away and died.
It was like early August when we took a picture of listening to it in the car on the way to Gen Con.
Adrian, this is how you remind me. So
It's like how you like to rebel.
Anyway, Jeff, what is your number 5?
My number 5 is Above and Below. Another one of those, like we played Arabian Nights, what seems like a billion years ago at the Sloan's Lake game night.
Mhm.
Correct.
That Adrian absolutely despised his play of at the time. Maybe not as much as in previous plays.
I don't feel like I've played Arabian Nights at a game night ever.
We were at the Sloan's Lake Alamo that like last Sunday game day.
Huh.
Yeah.
didn't we review it at some point?
I don't think we did.
I don't know.
Well, now we gotta play it right here. Bam.
Yeah.
Super long game.
Uh-huh.
You can't pass.
But this is another sort of storytelling kind of encounter game with a little bit more structure. There's Above and Below, Near and Far. Is there a third one? I don't know.
I want to say there's like a here and there and everywhere and that direction, north by northwest. It's a whole bunch.
And and the structure, it does have town building and stuff like that. You're supposed to be like, your town was ransacked by barbarians and all you could do is just like pick up your kid and run.
Yeah.
And now you're building like a new city. And it seems neat. It has that cool book. I've seen it put out at game night every once in a while, and I want to play Above and I think I borrowed it from Mike Jones at one point and never played it.
That sounds right.
And then gave it back.
I have no interest in playing any Ryan Lockett, like the Above and Below, Near and Far. They
Still too much story in there for him.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. So I've heard something about them. It seems like they don't mix story and game well. You know, like I play D&D for the story. Like I put up with all the randomness and bullshit dice stuff for the story. So there's a good enough story I can get into that. I don't know. Not for me. But I hope you get to play it sometime, Jeff. I hope you like it. Moving on to number 4.
Not anymore.
Jeff, what is your number 4?
The pronunciation of this is probably not going to be correct, but I'm going to say Troyes.
That was Troyes.
I
but
would
I've
almost certainly say Troyes.
I've heard it both ways.
Troyes.
Not quite that. You put a little emphasis on the wrong syllable.
What about
there.
Troyes?
Yeah, Troyes.
Troyes.
They've come
I
out.
would say Troyes is what my guess. Paul's saying it's neither, but I have no idea what that's in reference to.
They've come out with a new edition of it fairly recently. It's been not around for a while. Another area control, worker placement. It's kind of your different factions in the Champagne region of France. Like the theme doesn't really get me, but from everything I've heard about this game, it's sort of like you're trying to like get other people's workers to be like moonlighting in your area. It seems neat.
I'm being told it's Trois.
Trois?
Trois.
By who?
Someone from France?
Is it Alex from France?
Well, Alex from France, all he said was boo wrong with many exclamation points. It was Paul who said Trois.
Okay. Troyes in France is Trois.
Maybe. Or we're being trolled. I don't know. But moving right along, my number 4, and this is another one that I have to credit Nick for because I almost let this one slip by, and I am incredibly bummed that I was not able to get a pre-order in for it. It's Bus, particularly now that Capstone is doing a new 20th anniversary edition. So I don't know hardly anything about how Bus plays. All I know is that it is one that I always hear up there as like one of the best splotters.
For gameplay.
For gameplay.
Boy, that board.
I fucking love that board.
Oh
I love how
that
weird-
is the worst, one of the worst boards I've ever seen.
That,
you know what? That's good. I'm glad you mentioned this because it let me. I forgot about that for my other list.
Yeah, so I don't know. I like those. Like I like the Roads and Boats art. I didn't really like Roads and Boats, but I like the art, like the crayon, like hand drawn, like because it's clearly hand drawn, and I appreciate That like they, especially these, like Boss was made 20 years ago. They were definitely just two guys and like one of their girlfriends or significant others.
Yeah, you know what? You know what also happened over 20 years ago? The special edition of Star Wars. That doesn't mean I'm gonna like Jabba being introduced into that first one.
Well, no,
With the worst, one of the worst.
I mean,
CGI.
that's different. That's different.
Also, 20 years has happened in the last 20 years.
I know.
Like,
I have.
I assume they have made money at some point, right?
Well, and so the new edition of Bus, the art is much better. They vastly improved for the board. It looks way
because
better.
it wasn't them doing it.
I mean, yeah, Splatter probably would have taken the cheaper route and just done a straight reprint.
Yeah.
But whatever. But yeah, so Bus is my number 4. Zach, what about you? What is your number 4?
My number 4 is Merchants and Marauders. This is a Z-Man game that's about living the pirate life or not being a pirate and trying to actually ship goods in the Caribbean, I'm going to say, because it's a pirate game, right? But this is one that I remember early on in the gaming, my gaming life, whatever. It was just always one that was like, I want to get this game. I want to play this game. And I've cooled a little bit on that, but it came out like 9 years ago or so. But the fact that I don't know anybody who owns it, I don't know anyone who, because it's still one that I would very much like to try at some point, because I like the idea of being a pirate and running amok as a pirate, and doing shit like that. So
I would actually also really like to give Merchants and Marauders a try. I think it's a game I would have liked a whole lot like 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh,
when
yeah,
I was
definitely.
first in the hobby.
yeah,
I don't know if it would quite fit my current gaming style, but I think I could have a lot of fun with it. And again, I agree with you. Like having a good pirate game, like I love pirate shit.
Yeah.
In a weird, like not obsessive way. Like I don't watch everything, like, but good pirate things I'm really into. Like I really liked Assassin's Creed Black Flag because it was like, holy shit, this makes me feel like I get to be a fucking pirate.
Exactly. Yes, and I like that it seems like it gives you a good options to be a pirate or to not be a pirate.
Yeah, to try and be like an honest merchant.
Exactly.
Dodging all the pirates.
And then have my friends do that while I be a pirate and steal from them and they get pissed off at me.
Yeah. I will never try to go a merchant route in any game where I am playing with you, Jeff, or Paul.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee your pirates will come for all of my booty.
Yeah, be like, well, I could do this other stuff. Or Adrian already brought it halfway across the sea, so I might as well just take it. And then I can finish it. And then also, like, I will sink his boat and leave him on an island and not even leave him rum. No rum for Adrian.
It's fine. I don't really like rum.
Scotch is what I will leave you.
Not leave you scotch.
Well, I mean, I don't really like scotch either, but it's better than rum. Anyway, that wraps up number 4s. We're on to the top 3. Zach, what is your number 3?
It's me again.
It's back to you.
All right, my number 3 is Wits and Wagers. This is a trivia style game where you're not immediately fucked if you don't know trivia, because you are betting on, not only is it so it's like, hey, you know, how many miles away is the sun from the earth? And then everybody writes down a number, and then you put them in an order, and then you bet on what you think's the right one.
1.
Exactly.
1 astronomical unit.
Yes.
It's literally the distance between
It
the
is.
sun.
It is in kilometers. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And so it would be like, oh, I don't think Adrian knows anything about science, so I'm not going to choose him. Jeff looks like he immediately wrote down stuff, so I'm going to bet that Jeff was right. And then if Jeff ends up being right, he'll get points, but then also anybody who bet that Jeff was right gets points. And if you get the Vegas one, there are odds that are like, if there's like one that's further out, but you're like, I think that's the right one. So say like everyone said like the median one was like 4 miles, whatever. And then like one at the very end was like 400,000 miles. And you're like, oh, I don't like one. I don't, you know.
That's twice the distance past the moon.
Yeah. So that's closer than 4 miles.
Yes.
So if that was further out, then that one you would actually get more points based on that. So it seems like the thing I've always hated about trivia games is in any game where if you are better at whatever that is, it's not a contest. It's just who can do this the best.
Right.
And so I like that this one has. I've always liked that this one added that, and I was super interested in the Kickstarter. Except like you with D-Mocker, I only worked for Lyft, so I couldn't really afford it.
Yeah.
And so it's one that I've always wanted to try, and I'm definitely going to pick up at some point. But I'm disappointed that I haven't had a chance to try it yet. And there are like I want to say at Dice Tower Con or something like that, they'll do like entire like convention rooms of Witch and Wager games and
That
stuff
would be awesome.
stuff
Weird.
like that. And it's like tables are trying to figure out like tables submit an answer and shit like that. So I think all of that's really cool.
Neat.
Yeah.
It's like trivia.
Yeah, trivia but better.
Yeah.
Trivia with betting.
Jeff, what is your number 3?
My number 3 is Through the Ages,
Second edition.
a new story of civilization.
There we go. That's right.
That's the full title.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was like, I couldn't remember if they called it the second edition or not. So
No, they did not.
Another game ish. Like I've owned the first version of it for a very long time and never played it. But I've heard this one is way better. It's like the civilization game that you want to play in less than 18 hours.
this is the one with Mads Mikkelsen on the cover as Napoleon, right?
I don't know.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
It is.
It's been on the top BGG thing for a very long time. But another that I have not played.
I've only played Through the Ages once, and that was famously at Geekway after I had learned Indonesia on Sunday after I had spent all weekend playing heavy games, and it kind of broke me, and I have not went back to it. I do want to give it a fair shot. I need to.
Well, I've got the first edition,
I'm almost there.
punched and unplayed.
But yeah, right on. So my number 3 is Snowdonia. This is
Is that the one in the
the
huge
deluxe
box?
edition?
Yeah, I put the deluxe edition
Okay.
down, really just any Snowdonia. And again, for the third time, thanks to Nick,
Uh-huh.
because he was like, oh, if you haven't played Snowdonia, that needs to be on there. Because I think we've talked about how I haven't played it yet.
Well, so this is the second one that happened. Was this after you established your top 10 or while you're still in the
While I
process?
was still in the process.
So it didn't bump anything.
It did not bump anything.
Okay, so
Snowdonia did not bump anything.
This and
But
the
now
other one
there's-
didn't add 2 more to the honorable mentions, is what you're saying.
Correct.
Bringing it to 8.
No.
Okay.
No.
But this is now like 7 games that he has crowdsourced for his top 10,
It's been 3. So
including the games that you didn't even put in honorable mentions.
anyhow, so Snowdonia, I've played the 2-player variant, which should be hopefully showing up sometime in the near future
Okay.
in the States. I can't remember what they called it. It's something about like the hills or something, and it's a Snowdonia experience. But I really, really liked the 2-player version of it.
Okay.
And I talked to Tony a lot about Snowdonia when I was in Portugal, where I met him.
Uh-huh.
And I've been very interested. I like the mechanics in the 2-player version. I can only imagine I would like the full Super Deluxe edition. I have it sitting in a cart waiting to purchase from the same place that Boyd got his through, that does like they back Kickstarter and sell it for like a little bit more.
Gotcha.
To get the full, everything in the deluxe edition.
Yeah.
But Paul also has it, and so hopefully we can actually get it to the table. We're now entering the realm of like my list where we're getting games that I'm actually likely to get to play soon. So yeah, Snowdonia is my number 3 that I want to play / should have played. So
All right.
those are the number 3s. Let's move on to number 2s. My number 2, and so we have now entered the region of my list. And these 2 were like, when we decided to do this, my 1 and number 2 were immediately like just boom. They were on there no matter what.
That would be my 1 and 2 were ones that I was like, all right, it's going to be this and this.
Yeah.
Everything else I will then try and figure out by like going through the BGG top 1000. But these were the first 2 that came to my mind.
These are my hard, like, I should have played these by now.
Yeah. So the first of my 2 that like were just immediately like, they're part of almost why I was like, oh, this is a great stream. I have great answers. And then I had to fill in 8 of them. And then ended up with like, I don't know, what are we up to now? Like 17. But number 2 for me is Panamax. And the reason Panamax
You have
is
not played this
because
yet.
I have still not played Panamax.
How have you not? Okay,
I have
this is
owned
the
it-
first one that I was like, I would have bet money that you had somehow played this.
Yeah. So Panamax is a game I own, which is it has that in common with number 1. That's what number 1 and number 2 were locked in because these are games I own and I have not played. You got me Panamax as a gift, and I
did.
unfortunately have still not actually had a chance to play it. I've brought it to game night a couple times recently, hoping that like, you know, Chris Evans or somebody or, you know.
Did you let these people know, or did you just like have it in your bag and you're like hoping that they sort of stumble upon it?
I mean, you know me.
I do.
So you know what the answer to that question is. But I've heard fantastic things about Panamax. It looks great from a gameplay perspective. I really, really, really want to play it. And I haven't, but I own it. It was one of those. Megan was in here like while I was working on this because I came home from work today and you'd sent me the images and I was putting together this awesome little PowerPoint presentation thing to go on the stream.
How many star wipes did you use?
None. No star wipes. Because
Not even for like
I didn't actually use PowerPoint and Google Docs presentation did not have star wipes.
I was gonna say if you used it for any of them, it should have been the Star Wars one.
I would have 100%.
Did they use? They had wipes.
No, it wasn't a star wipe.
There was never a star.
It was not a star wipe. Yeah.
Anyway, but she was sitting here and we were clicking through. Like she was like, "Oh, what's the list?" And so like, and I wanted to see how the slideshow looked overall. So we were clicking through, and this was one of the ones where we got to this. And he goes, "Wait, don't we own that?"
Yeah.
I was like, yes, we do, which is why it's my number 2. So Panamax, my number 2. Zach, what about you?
My number 2 is Forbidden Stars, and this is mainly due to how many times, even more than Star Wars Rebellion, I've heard people be like, "We should play this game. Oh, I want to play this game. We should play this game." We know 2 people that own it, at least 3 or 4.
David, Paul, me.
Yeah, and it's like we should play this. This is like there's so many people I know that this would work well, and I've heard great things about this game. It is Paul saying we should both leave.
Paul saying he has 2 copies in his house right now.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the number 1 for people that other people own that I have no idea how we haven't gotten this played yet.
I actually would like to play Forbidden Stars. I've heard that it's like actually pretty good. Yeah, I don't think it'll be quite my speed, but I don't think I'll super hate it. And I actually want to give it a try as well. So
this is also spoiler. This is one that I expected to be on your list, Jeff, and the fact that it wasn't.
It's just something I didn't think about because it probably would have, but I guess it shouldn't be on the list because I never thought about it. Like it's sort of like, yeah, I probably should have played that by now, but I didn't even think about it. Yeah. So
well, Jeff, what did you think about for your number 2 slot?
My number 2 slot is one of the best war games of all time, known as Paths of Glory. It is a World War I GMT war game, a war-ass game.
How long is it?
480 minutes. So that's about 8 hours.
Oh, man.
It's
probably much longer than that.
A nice, cool 12-hour learning game.
Yes.
Which Paul would also like you to quit the stream now and go play Paths of Glory.
Yeah. Like I from what little war games I have played, I do like them a lot. It's just not something that I get around me to play, and so I've not gone out there and bought anything. Like the closest is Twilight Struggle, which is distinctly a war game, but
right.
But that's the one that's always out there. I just never get to like what's the next one and what's the one after that. This is the one after that.
So Paths of Glory was nowhere near my list because I'm not that interested in diving that far into wargaming.
Right.
But I was very close to putting some of the other coins that I haven't played. And if I had not already played Fire on the Lake or Fire in the Lake, I would have put that on my list. But I have played that. It's just been a long time.
It's been a while, yeah.
But like, there's a Distant Plane I would really like to play. So Jeff, if you want to do some coin games, I'd be down for that, and then maybe you could work me up to Paths of Glory.
Yeah,
but I'm not quite there yet.
We'll have to get it from Paul, and then have us play it, and then him not.
Then leave Paul out.
I will pass on any coin games, so you just leave it to you guys.
Yeah,
right on. Moving on to the number 1s, the top of the toppy tops. Jeff, what is your number 1?
Speaking of war games that I should have absolutely played by now, Warhammer 40,000 8th edition. This is the latest edition from Games Workshop's venerable series, Warhammer 40K.
How old is the 8th edition?
8th edition is 2 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it was a major change in the rule system. They went back to like 2nd edition, and what I enjoyed most about Warhammer Fantasy, where they put in modifiers and multiple wounds on characters and weapons that do like D3 damage or D6 damage, and it added in that like 40k that I've been missing for, let's say, 5 editions. And like where like, oh, I'm strength 5, but you have an armor save of 3. You still have your armor save of 3. I just wound you better. Where this is like, I'm strength 5. You get -2 to your armor. Your armor is now a 5+ instead of a 3+. That's the stuff I loved from Warhammer. And even 3rd edition, when it changed all that stuff, was like they added in the AP system, and it was just sort of like, I break all armor that's 5 or 6, instead of like, I have a -2 armor modifier. So your AP 5 weapon doesn't do anything to anything armor 4, 3, 2, or 1, which this made it way cooler. And not to mention that I'm obsessed with all 40k lore and all that kind of stuff.
And yet Forbidden Stars was not in his mind at all.
Yeah, no.
Would you be in a position to actually play it?
Absolutely. I still, all that stuff I have still works.
Oh, okay.
There's more, and there's crazy amounts of like huge models, like the Imperial Knights that are like 8 inches tall, that are like $150. Like, I don't want to play with any of that. I just want to play the new edition with all of my old stuff, which
Jeff,
I can totally do.
How much of that is in Denver?
0.
Okay.
Jeff, you know, having this as your number one is like, you know, if you're talking to somebody who's like really being like heroin, and they're like, you know what?
No, but
I haven't gotten high in a while.
But
I think I want to get high again.
But I was more like the dealer that got it on a really cheap, like.
Yeah, now you have to pay retail price.
No, I'm not going to buy any new stuff. Like, that's not happening.
I mean, that's what you say now.
Yeah. I don't need any of the big stupid stuff.
Yeah, you don't need it now until you get back in.
Until you get that itch.
Yeah.
I wandered through all of the 40k tournaments that were happening at Gen Con, and just seeing where all the models have gone from what they used to be. It's all just like, here's my big unit, here's my huge unit, here's my huge demon, here's this, here's that. And it just seems like total bullshit that I don't want to play with. But it's the meta, because Games Workshop is 100% being like, this is the most powerful thing, and it's really expensive, but you're going to need this if you want to be competitive. And I just want to move some dudes around a board and shoot stuff and, you know, charge in with chain axes. Like, that's a chainsaw on the end of an axe, by the way.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I assumed. What do you know about 40,000 Apocalypse? Because when I was doing the images, the image you sent me for this one was like a weird, like,
it's a book.
It was the box, like, kind of offset or whatever.
It was the rule book. Yeah.
But it was like offset weird, and I didn't like the way it looked because it was the first one that wasn't like a nice little image. So I tracked down and I went to BGG and I was looking through, and I ended up giving up I think it's the Italian edition. So the subtitles at the bottom are all in Italian, but it looks real nice there. But I noticed while I was on the 8th edition, it said, because I searched Warhammer 40k and I clicked the first one on Google that came up, which is like 4th edition. And then it was like re-implemented by, and I clicked on that. Re-implemented by, clicked on that. You know, all the way up until 8th edition.
Yep.
And then at 8th edition, it said re-implemented by 40,000 Apocalypse.
So I think, Apocalypse was something that came out in 4th edition, where you could play many, like, tens of thousands of points battles. Like, you have this massive army, you're only playing with 1,500 points, but let's say you own 10,000 points of Imperial Guard or Astra Militarium or whatever the fuck they call it now. Apocalypse lets you play with your whole collection with like crazy big battle rules. And then I think 8th edition has come out with a new version of that recently.
Does it come with buckets so you can roll those dice?
I would not be shocked if that's what happened. But that's what all those big units are really cool in, and that's what they only used to be in. But now you can use them in regular battles, and it's like a Titan with a foot the size of this fucking camera, like, that just stomps down on your units because it's, you know, 100 stories tall, like a skyscraper. It's the bullshit like that has come into the regular game that I don't love.
Gotcha.
But I do love the Warhammer 40,000.
Paul would like to note that those buckets are $50 a piece, and you have to use Games Workshop approved buckets.
If they were playing in a store, I absolutely guarantee that's what they would say.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's because they're round, but they are square in the center, and that's what causes it.
Yes.
sure. So moving right along, my number one should come as no surprise to a decent amount of people who know anything about my game collection. It's Antiquity, because it is continuing in the trend of heavy, awesome games that I've heard great things about that I have not actually played. And so same thing, like I clicked on Panamax with Megan sitting here and she was like, don't we own that? And I was like, yep, we sure do. And I clicked again. She went, Antiquity? Don't we own that? Yep, we sure do.
Many of my lists are
So-
things that I own as well.
Thankfully, there's only 2 games in my entire board game collection that I have not played, excluding the honorable mention for the Scoundrels of Skullport expansion, but Panamax and Antiquity. Of course, Antiquity is going to win out of that comparison, Panamax versus Antiquity. Antiquity is a Splotter. I love Splotter. They're my favorite designer by far, favorite publisher. My favorite games at any given time are a Splotter game. And I've just heard amazingly awesome things about Antiquity. I just have not yet had a chance to actually get it to the table and learn how to play it and go for it. So, yeah, that's all I really have to say about it. Nothing much more. So Antiquity, my number one. Zach, what about you? What is your number one?
So I don't own any games that I should have played by now, because the only one that I did is number one, Kemet, and I sold it because I couldn't handle the shame of not having played it. So one of my favorite area control games, especially early on, was Cyclades, or however you actually pronounce it.
That game.
Yeah. And so, that's by Matago. And they also did Kemet, which is another area control game. This one is Egyptian themed, which I've always loved Egyptian stuff. And so I was like, yeah, as soon as I played Cyclades and was like, damn, this is a great game. And I was like, Kemet seems like a great game. And it's different, but it seems really cool. And I had it. And I had it for 5+ years at this point. And every time I see it, I feel like it was mocking me, like right in the face. And then I was just
One
like,
of us has to go.
yeah. And I was just like, you know what? I can't, I gotta get rid of it because I can't see, it's something I really should have played, but I just didn't for whatever reason. I feel like I even brought it to game nights to be like, I'll learn it, and never did. And I just couldn't bear the shame of it. And so I got rid of it.
It's going to make it harder for you to actually play it now that it's number
Exactly.
one
Now-
on your
now-
list of games you should have played.
Yeah. No, I only should have played it because of how long I owned it now. If I made the list again, it would no longer be on the list.
It's been acknowledged.
Exactly.
It's done now.
Exactly.
Right on. For those of you listening at home, this was the first top 10 we have ever done in 4 years,
3.5
years of the show, where there was not a single overlap. Mostly because Jeff completely forgot about the existence of Forbidden Stars.
Which means it probably shouldn't have been on my top 10 list.
I mean, you're not wrong. But yeah, I think some really good lists. There's a fair amount on both of your lists that I actually would like to play. I
You
would
want
be
to play that
interested in
40K,
trying.
huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
We got a good table for it. Just saying.
I played, what was your big tabletop war, like mini war
Heroescape.
game? Heroescape.
Yeah.
I played Heroescape with Zach twice, I think.
Yes.
And, I'm good. I'm good on my giant table hogging.
That is definitely the
terrain-based-
most game that I own.
You still own all that,
Oh, yeah, I
right?
do.
Where do you keep it?
In a giant giant storage container that is supporting 30 games on top of it.
Fantastic.
Blood Bowl is my methadone clinic.
Sounds about right. Yeah, that pretty much wraps up everything on our end here. But we're not the only ones who have lists. We.
When am I doing my list? My stupid list.
Oh wait, I forgot you said you had a stupid list.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what it is. What's your stupid list, Zach?
Games I should have played by now, but I'm glad that I haven't.
Oh, that's right. All right.
I'll run down real quick. One, Antiquity / Great Zimbabwe / Roads and Boats / Bus. I just know at some point you're going to make us review a Splotter, but every moment that it isn't that is I'm happy.
Did we? Because I'll make us review another Splotter.
Exactly.
Because we've already reviewed
2.
and Indonesia, which
Yes.
is the one you actually do like.
Yes. Next one, in that same vein, Kanban, but the driver's edition, just because of that board, is just, oh God. I'm sure I'll end up having to play whenever that Kickstarter comes out and then one of you guys gets it. But it looks better. But the driver's edition just looks like such an eyesore that I'm so glad that I never.
No, somebody was talking about Kanban recently. I think it was at a game night. And somebody mentioned it next to me, like, oh, this is a game I want to play. And I was like, I am not touching that until I have a chance to get that Eagle Griffin, and not even Eagle Griffin. The
Stronghold?
No.
Well, that's the current one,
right? No, because I don't care that it's Eagle Griffin because the artist
Ian O'Toole.
Ian O'Toole, thank you. Ian O'Toole edition, that's what I don't care that it's Eagle Griffin. I care that it's Ian O'Toole redoing the art. But yeah, I'm not playing Kanban until I have Ian O'Toole designed board for me to play on.
Next one is Phase 10, because I've heard that's a god-awful game, and I'm really glad, and I actually know some people who it's one of their favorite games, but they also don't play many games, and I'm glad that early on in my gaming career that I didn't get duped into playing that game. So,
yeah.
And then my last one is War of the Ring, and that is because as hopefully everybody knows, I really, really don't care about Lord of the Rings at all.
Yeah.
And this is a 2-player asymmetrical war game, the war-esque game, which now I can just say, I would rather just play Star Wars Rebellion, Jeff. So I'm glad that game exists, so I never have to be.
I'm sure Paul is screaming.
I'm fine with it.
In fact, he does. Quit the stream now. Let's play War of the Ring.
No, definitely not.
So he has a very nice edition.
Oh, I'm sure. It looks great. Definitely don't want to play it.
Oh, shit.
Mm-hmm. And that's it.
Okay. Well, now that all of our lists are done, I'd forgotten about Zach's bullshit list.
Yeah.
We do have a little bit of listener feedback. Nothing over in emails.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com.
But we do have a few different responses over on our BGG.
Yes, we do. So this first one is from Bryant. The ones that bother me the most that I still haven't played are Agricola, Brass, any version. Don't say any version. Say Lancashire or Birmingham.
Yeah.
Be glad that you didn't have to play Brass.
Yeah. Oh.
Oof.
Clank, Lisboa, and Terraforming Mars first mention.
Yeah. Because we wouldn't mention it about not playing it because we played all of it.
So much.
Yes. Clank, I enjoy it.
Hard pass on Clank.
Yeah. Lisboa, you're probably
Great
fine
game.
not having to play
Fantastic game.
Maybe wait till they actually get a printer that has all of its ink. And
I hate that Paul ended up not liking Lisboa, and I partially blame myself because I tried to teach it at D-Bolt, and that was a disaster, and I think it ruined it for Paul forever. So I partially blame myself. I also partially blame Paul's stubbornness about the game. But I have nobody to play Lisboa with, and it breaks my heart because I love Lisboa. I would like to play a lot more Lisboa, but no dice.
All right, next one is Alex from France. Splotter. Just in general, I'm assuming he hasn't played any of them.
Any Splotters.
Any Splotters. To be that sort of person.
Oh, you like Indonesia. Shut the fuck up. You like it enough, and I'm sure when we do a 5-player Indonesia stream, it'll be one you'd actually want to be on.
I'd probably.
Does Paul have that new board yet?
No, we'll play on my board. My board will look better on camera.
Well, I meant
it will look.
It will
be less
a board,
clear.
Yeah, a board that isn't the board of the game.
Oh yeah, on stream it's going to be like that light khaki with the slightly darker khaki versus.
It'll be fine.
No.
Through the Ages: A New Story of Civilization, Twilight Imperium, 4th edition, Star Wars Rebellion, Colonial Twilight, the French-Algerian War, 1954 to 16. I was like, there's too many things. I'm like, I wasn't sure if Algerian War ended it, and then I was like, oh, 16, and I was like, oh no, that's part of it still. That's a long title for a game. And a few games.
It's very common with GMT War games.
Oh, I'm sure. And a few games I already own but haven't played yet. Spirit Island, which don't worry about it. CO2 Second Chance, Escape Plan, 18CZ, and Barrage, etc.
Yeah, I can't speak to 18CZ, but Spirit Island, great. I would like to play CO2. Barrage, I've heard, has just had a shit ton of issues. Nobody's
think
happy
it-
with their barrage.
I think that's all based on components. I don't know about the gameplay, but because it was supposed to be like a deluxe edition, and people got it, and they're like, oh, "It's not very deluxe, is it?" All right, next one is from Tom. My unplayed list highlights or lowlights, if we're being honest. Mother of Dragons. Still haven't been able to get this to the table despite being incredibly hyped for it and finally receiving the playmat. It seems like someone else
Finally
got it.
Seems like, yeah.
Definitely
Took forever.
Yeah, definitely play it. I feel like it fixed a lot of the issues
Yeah.
with the base game.
Yeah,
Was
I
it
agree.
8 months?
Oh god, it took forever.
At least
I bought Zack Tyranny, like their Mother of Dragons, the actual expansion, like 6 months after you bought him the playmat, and he had the expansion for like 4 months
Yeah.
before the playmat showed up.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Spartacus, a game of blood and treachery, was able to find both expansions for this, 3D printed an insert, and it still sits. Need to get this played, especially in a group when we have no problem mercilessly screwing each other over and over without cause. I remember this is one of the first games that are like, hey, licensed games can actually be all right. Pretty good.
Yeah, it's a solid licensed game.
Yeah.
It's very much not available anymore.
Yes.
Yeah. Ah, that was such a good show too until the main actor got cancer and they had to replace him, and then just everything went to shit.
What an assoul to
What a-
just get cancer and
No,
die like
I'm
that.
not blaming him.
Feels like you're blaming him. You're like, it was
sucked
great
that
until
it
you know,
was great
until he
It
got
sucks
cancer.
It sucks that he got cancer. Cancer blows.
It does. But I
Continue.
didn't hear a. It's a shame he got cancer. It was like it was great until he fucking got cancer.
I mean, it's true.
Yeah. Warrior Knights with the Crown and Glory expansion.
I've never heard of Warrior
I have
Knights.
no idea
what
what it
that
is. Managed to get this in a math trade a couple years ago. Was incredibly stoked for this, but it's been a difficult one to get enough interest for. I should get it played at 3 to 4 players, but have been wanting to try and get 5 to 6 instead. I mean, it would probably help if it's a game that anybody knew what it was.
Yep.
Yeah, if somebody showed up and was like, "Hey, Adrian, you want to play a 5 to 6 player game of Warrior Knights?" I'd be like, "I've never heard of that." And you're asking to play a 5 and 6 player game?
And then the name of the game is Warrior Knights.
I'm gonna just slow walk away.
And was it FIF, France? FIF, France, 1429. Picked up the Kickstarter edition from someone who ended up with 2 copies over a year ago. Looks fantastic, but also seems to be similar to Warrior Knights and a Game of Thrones. So yeah. Yeah.
Good luck.
Good luck with all of that. Next up is Boyd. Here's my list of double secret shame probation games. 10 coin series, any of them. Probably Fire in the Lake is one of your best bets.
Yeah.
I've heard that's one of the better ones.
Distant Plain, which is the U.S. and Afghanistan, and then the one that's the American Revolution is supposed to be pretty good.
There's a Gandhi one too, I want to say, that's coming out or is out.
Which that one looks really good because it has a legitimate like pacifist faction that I think would be really interesting to play in one of those games.
Commands and Colors, any of them. Haven't played any of them.
Oh, yeah,
have
what
no
that
interest in them. I've heard good things about Ancient, I think.
Yeah.
But
I almost put it on my list just because when I started doing my list initially, I just looked like the top 200 of BGG and was
Right.
like, what haven't I played? And then I was like, no, I can do better than that.
Yep. Gaia Project, Clash of Cultures, which is sort of like Through the Ages,
Yeah.
but not. Number 6 is 1830.
1830 is great. It's one of the older 18xx's that has spawned like an entire like subset.
Because there's like 2
Do they
styles
gatekeep
of
that
them.
one from everyone else?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. You got to play that one, and you have to master that one before you play any of the others.
Okay.
You have to write a 200-page report on the early game of it, and like
18xx players are the least gatekeepy people I've ever met. They are so desperate for more people to play 18xx with them
that sounds right. Yeah.
that they have never turned away anyone even remotely interested.
No, it's the group that has like the 5 or 6 players that will constantly play it. Then they start the gatekeeping. Age of Steam, which that is
so
like
good.
that is
It's
Like-
another one that's a system.
Yeah.
So you can get like
Because
they
Steam
just-
is the same thing, right? Or is it sort of? I don't.
they're similar, and there's a whole bunch. I mean, there's all kinds of shenanigans around ownership of Age of Steam
Yes.
and everything. But you can get copies of it, and then there's tons of maps that you can get all over the place. I'm pretty sure Paul backed the newest Kickstarter of it, which I don't know if he has yet, but if he does, I want to play more Age of Steam because Age of Steam is great. So
Number 4, Pandemic Legacy Season 1, we'll say, because he doesn't specify.
maybe he just wants to play any of it.
I mean, but play
Start with
Season
the first
1
one.
before you play Season 2.
Start with the better one.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely should play it. And you can play it with 2 players, 3 players, 4 players.
It's way easier if you have less players.
Yeah.
And not just in gameplay, just like getting it scheduled and actually getting to play it.
Very
Like,
true.
it's way easier to coordinate
No,
two
what you do,
people
what
than
you do is
4.
you get it with 6 people, and that way you can just be like, the first 4 people that sign up to it can play it. And then it's a lot easier because people are like, I want to play this. So, number 3, Star Wars Rebellion. Yeah, you should play that.
Yeah, I'd say play it at least once.
Twilight Imperium 4th edition. Sounds to me like we need to get like a Geekway Twilight Imperium.
I would
on, like-
totally play TI4 Geekway.
Yeah.
Like get a bunch of people. Yeah. We could
How-
probably easily put together like an 8.
I think we get like 6 people. I think it would be like me, Jeff, Paul, Wes,
Jake.
Jake for, well, yeah, I was going to say Wes, or I was going to say Boyd, and then also Adrian. And then we could just sort of
Swarm.
swarm them.
Oh, see, I thought that whole thing was building up to slowly excluding me from the one time when
What?
I've been like, oh yeah, I totally play TI4, and you're like, we get 6 people that just leave
To be-
Adrian out.
To be fair, I only had 5 people in my mind, and then Jeff suggested Jake. So yes, we can do that also. Your choice, Adrian.
Shit. lose right there.
Yeah. And then the last one, Gloomhaven, which that's another one, and it's also one we need to get back on playing.
So Gloomhaven is one. Zach, you remember your story of being excluded from Seventh
Yeah,
Continent?
yeah.
That was my experience with Gloomhaven. You know, I was in on the first game. I was there for the grand unboxing and sorting and organizing and first play. And then I was the first one who was like, everybody was getting together. And I was like, I can't make it, guys. And they're like, well, you know who can? Paul. Or it wasn't Paul. Who replaced me?
Julie. I don't
Well,
know.
it was-
It's been multiple people.
Oh, okay.
Julie, but then Paul.
You've just rotated in. Well, I thought
Adrian.
it was Paul. in the
No,
first
no, no,
one.
no, no. Then Paul joined. Yeah.
Okay.
But Adrian, I never wasn't available for Seventh Continent.
I mean, it's worse. Yours is worse.
And I am so ashamed, and you should be, Boyd. Shame. If we had a bell, I would ring it. I wish we should have gotten a bell, and everyone.
That's not going to work.
No,
Nope,
not at all.
There's no ringing there.
No. This next one is
Just
from.
make the Windows ding noise again.
Yeah.
Ding.
And this next one is from May. These are games I really should have played by now because I own them. Alchemist. I've been reluctant to teach this because it's almost like 2 games in one, the logic puzzle and the worker placement game. That's one I'd be interested in trying out at some point with the app, because it seems like you can't technically play it without an app, but that seems like it's one person doing that is not really playing the game at that point. But it seems like a lot of effort. Dungeon Pets. How could I not have played a game that has poop cubes? I feel this is a game I played half of it, and it has Vladimir.
Vladdle Shavaddle?
Yes,
Shavaddle,
there you go.
Shavaddle. Yeah. I also want to play Dungeon. I've heard Dungeon Pets is actually a really solid worker placement game, and Dungeon Lords as well. But I've not played either of them.
Poop cubes, huh?
Poop cubes.
Poop cubes.
Star Wars Rebellion seems fun, but I rarely play 2-player games.
Well, you can play it at 3 or
4. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not as good, but you can. And then lastly, Terra Mystica. I've played Gaia Project twice. What?
No,
Wait.
just
Oh.
it's not the last one.
No, her last one.
Oh, sorry.
And lastly, for May, Is that better, Jeff?
Yes.
Terra Mystica. I've played Gaia Project twice, and I'm afraid that I will play Terra Mystica and think it's worse. I feel like I've heard most people prefer Terra Mystica,
yeah.
but
Which is why I didn't put Gaia Project instead of
Terra Mystica.
Terra Mystica.
Terra Mystica.
I don't know. I've seen, so that was another thing that surprised me when I was researching my list. Like I went to a lot of like top 50 heavy games lists and things like that. And Gaia Project was rated really well in far more heavy games lists than I would have anticipated.
I mean, to be fair, Gaia Project is also like 4, 5.
It's brand new. Yeah. Alex thinks it's better than Terra Mystica for what it's worth.
To be I think also part of it is just I've heard so many people complain about the plastic in Gaia Project that I might have incorporated that into the gameplay. So, last one is from Paul. Quick game of Through the Ages after the stream? Question mark.
No.
Well, this is not a Q&A, so we don't have to answer this.
That's true.
Correct.
And that is it for BGG, which is once again Guild 2731.
That is correct. Right on. That brings pretty much all the listener feedback stuff to a close. Thanks everybody for chiming in over there on the thread. If you're listening or if you're watching the stream and you suddenly have thoughts about games that you maybe should have played or that you wish you'd played or that you want to play that you haven't yet, feel free to jump over there. Like Zach said, Guild number 2731. And you can leave follow-up thoughts, and we'll address them on one of our Wednesday banter episodes during listener feedback. We had no other real sources of anybody chiming in on games that they wish they had played or hadn't played or anything like that.
Anybody say anything on chat that you saw?
Not really. Not about games they wish they had played. Not people.
Okay. Well, I will say this. I'm sure Nick will be ashamed at all of us that none of us had El Grande on our list.
That's true.
And I'm
no
thinking
El Grande, and I don't think any of us have played El Grande.
Yes.
Yeah.
But with a name, El Grande, you can understand why we haven't played it.
Anyway, we're going to wrap things up here. If you want to get a hold of us, there are a bunch of different ways you can do so. You can always send us an email.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com.
You can find us over on Twitter, where I tweet under at MHGameGuys.
I am Zach_MHGG.
I am Jeff_MHGG.
We have both Facebook and Instagram /MileHighGameGuys.
That first post in like 3 years did really well.
On Instagram. Yeah, nice. I appreciate that.
You going to keep that trend going?
Once every 3 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We also are now streaming on Twitch. You might hear references occasionally here and there during the podcast episode, since we do stream almost all of our recordings now. So depending on how much gets edited out, you'll hear little blurbs here and there.
I do have plenty of cut notes.
Yeah.
Twitch.tv/MHGameGuys if you want to subscribe or follow over there and get notifications when we're doing a live stream, whether it's a podcast episode or a live play of a game, things like that.
Yep.
You can watch Adrian get pounded at Twilight Struggle.
I didn't get pounded. I was doing really good for Russia going into almost Era 3 until I shot myself in the face and got nuked.
You were playing Russia, so it seems like you should have won an early game.
100% should have.
Seems like you got something.
It made me feel really good that it felt like it was about equal between me and Ben. Yeah. For making chat go, well, usually whatever faction doesn't do that. It's rare for USSR to play that card for points. It's rare for USSR to play that card as an event.
Chat's too nice.
I think if Paul didn't have other things to do, I think he would have gotten less nice as that stream went on. Oh my God, you guys, you're fucking up, you fucking idiots.
Probably would have had an aneurysm.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, so you can tune in for all kinds of shenanigans like that for streaming stuff. In fact, we'll be streaming our Wednesday episode, which I think will actually be before this releases for podcasts. So never mind that. But Zach and I will be streaming on Monday, War of the Worlds from Gray Fox. Jeff just got his Kickstarter edition in.
Yeah.
With the playmat and everything, minis and all.
I don't know how cut that is.
It is completely, you can just barely see the top. You can see slightly more of the top.
There we go. Yeah, right there.
That's better, yeah. We'll be streaming that on Monday during the day. It'll be a nice little daytime stream, 2-player. Zach and I going at it in War of the Worlds.
Thank you, Jewish holidays.
Yes. But yeah.
Yeah, it's only like 40 minutes or so.
Right. Yeah. Be sure to jump over to our website, milehighgameguys.com, for links to join the Slack channel, where there's a whole bunch of awesome conversations about all things game, movie, TV, politics, whatever, all segregated in their own channels,
Yes,
so you can pick and choose what you want to be a part of.
Yes. Just know, though, if you mention movies, you're getting brought to the movies channel, and then you will watch as people talk about anime and
for a long time. But yeah, also over on our Slack channel is links to the Big GG guild that we talked about earlier, guild number 2731, with weekly episode threads, as well as a calendar where we also post those streams that we do over on Twitch. And it has a link to our Patreon, patreon.com/milehighgameguys, if you want to support the show financially. This whole new audio visual setup that we have here in this whole new studio, shower curtains and all, ladder and all. Well, ladder wasn't paid for by the studio.
They're not actually shower curtains.
They're not. They're actual real floor to ceiling, like somewhat nice curtains.
That's a that's a tall shower.
Yeah.
But the running joke is
Yes.
shower curtains.
Yeah.
But all of that was funded by our awesome patrons over there on patreon.com. We super appreciate everybody who chooses to support the show
Yes, we do.
that way. So yeah, I think that wraps up all the contact information. I might have missed something there. We got a little distracted with, I don't know, random things we were getting ready to do in the future. But yeah, we'll catch you guys on Wednesday with another banter episode. Until then, as always, I've been your host, Adrian.
I am still Zach.
And I'm mentionable Jeff.
Bye.
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 Punchboard Media, where we all
Bring something
to the table.
pull up a chair.
At punchboardmedia.com.